Herzlich willkommen zu musotalk, dem Music- und Sound-Production-Podcast aus Berlin.
Hallo und herzlich willkommen zu musotalk angezerrt TV, diesmal von der SAE Convention in Berlin. Und neben mir ist der Matthias. Hallo Matthias.
Hi, Eric. Good to be here.
Great. Matthias, what I want to know from you is, what is new in Reason 6.5 for me as a guitarist? Now, there's something new in there where I say, yeah, that's exactly what you need when you're recording guitars.
There are a couple of things. Since we added Rack-Extensions, a lot of third-party stuff has come in that are really, really good for guitarists, I think at least. For example, I have a couple loaded up here, so we can take a look if you want.
Great, yes.
Let's. So my favorite new thing for guitarists is actually from ourselves. It's called the Polar Dual Pitch Shifter. And the cool thing with this, it's similar to, the old harmonic generator effects. So you can actually tune your guitar in different chords almost. So here I can set the shifter to an octave up and an octave down. And suddenly I'm playing, 3 notes. It's a great effect. Typical, Rage Against the Machine, they did a lot of that stuff. So I really like that effect. And you can do some cool stuff with it too. So I can, for example, hold a chord. So whenever I want, I can click the delay buffer and I can just lock it. So it keeps on playing and I can play on top of it. That's a really cool guitar effect. If you map that to a pedal.
Can you explain again? You can play on top of it? I didn't quite get that.
So in the Polar, there's something called the delay buffer, where the sound is kept. So if I play a chord real quick, I can lock it. And it
Could I also not just lock a chord, but also a small phrase?
If you do a phrase, it locks a very small portion, but you can sweep through it.
Okay, so it's not like a looper.
No.
It's how long is the sample that I can take?
The sample is I think roughly 400 milliseconds, and then you can get to 4 times 400 milliseconds too. So you have a bit to work with, but it's basically for small grains, and you can do cool effects for actually sweeping it. If I lock this, I can add an LFO to modulate it, creating this really interesting texture, from just my guitar. So definitely one of my favorite features.
And what else?
We have some really cool third-party stuff. 2 equalizers I really like for guitar. One of them is the Trident A-Range from Softube. And Trident, they're generally known for doing a guitar that's great on EQ. I think Metallica has used it a lot. And especially the 1K, 2K band really makes a difference, I think. Just add a little bit. That's really my favorite band for guitars. It really brings out a lot. This is a fantastic EQ that I love using on guitars.
From the guys from Softube, right?
Exactly. So from Sweden, just as propeller head. And we also have another EQ that's based on old amps, the simple low, mid, high EQ found on a lot of amps by Synapse Audio. It's also very good for guitars. It's quite gentle, so you don't really push the sound, but you add a little bit, which is really nice.
And you could probably use these in front of your Line 6 guitar amp, right? Because it makes a lot of difference, what kind of texture goes into the modeling algorithm.
Absolutely, yeah. I've learned from a guy that's really good at guitars. I'm not a professional in terms of guitar effects, but he said, put all the cool stuff in front of the distortion pedal, and like you said, you can get different textures.
So it means not only for mixing. Exactly. I would use the Softube, but I could even, put it in front of the Line 6 modeling amp and, tweak the modeling experience.
Exactly. You really tweak the guitar sound before it comes in and gets distorted. So this is a great EQ for that, the Synapse VE3. I really like it.
And all these 3 are Rack-Extensions, so they come as an extra add-on, sort of, I would say as a plug-in, but probably not allowed here in this room.
Kind of. A plugin, but not really a plugin. Okay. Absolutely. And then finally, I think we have a lot of new reverbs that I think are great. And guitar, it's always nice to have some reverb on, so I'm going to enable it. We have one from Yuhi, the Ubic A, which I'm a big fan of because it has separate control for the bass and treble decay, which is great. So you can keep it shorter in the bass. You don't want it big and boomy, but you can really make it shine in the treble.
Usually a plate is quite nice. Let's listen to it.
Sure.
Cool. I usually like a kind of very small room, you know, like almost like in a rehearsal room. Is that possible here? Because it sounded really, I mean, also the effect level was pretty high, so very exaggerated.
There are many different options on this Yuhi one. It is essentially a plate reverb with a pre-delay, so that's what it excels at, these really swooshy big sounds. But there are some short kind of doubling sounds.
All right, cool. And that is a rack extension for how many euros?
Oh, the Ubic A, if I'm not mistaken, don't quote me, I think it's 39 euros. Okay. There are a lot of these, you know, they have introduction prices when they are released, and then maybe the price change. So my best tip is to go to shop.propellerheads.se and check them out. Okay. Every single thing has a...
And that's a great thing. What I'm always telling my people is that, you know, when I buy something in the App Store, for example, I cannot return it. I can't even try it out. And that's great with your system, is that I can actually, you know, use a demo. How long? 30 days?
Yes, 30-day demos for every single thing. Just click the try button and it downloads straight into Reason 6.5, and then you can try it out.
Maybe we should just do that. Exactly that. Thank you very much, Matthias.
Thank you.